Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew with me, Graham Hughes. Oh no, it says, where the fuck are we? What? That's better. Welcome to Morning Brew with me, Graham Hughes, on Politics Social. I hope you're all right this morning. It is Wednesday, the 19th of February, 2025. I'm advised it's half term, so obviously Parliament's not in because the kids are off school. Apparently, I think, maybe. I thought that was next week, but never mind. Anyway, so big shout out to Scott in the chat, Koala Meat there as well, got Martin Harrow, Leonardo's embroidery journey. We've also got bright and sunny here in southeastern UK, cold still low, says Anne Phillips. It's pretty miserable up here in the north. It's grim up north. SG saying every morning there's a pit of dread in my tummy. Imagine being Ukrainian or Palestinian. Yep, that would be even worse than the shit that we're in at the moment. And let's make no bones about it. We are in the shit. But you know what? We're in the shit together. You know, it's not just one person, me, you, just suffering alone. We're all suffering together. I don't know if that makes it any better, but at least we know we're not alone in this. Just going, oh my God. The madness. Okay, so if you'd like to join our beautiful socialites in the chat, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button and wait for about 30 seconds, and then you will be allowed to add your ideas and concepts and thoughts to the live chat. But please don't be a troll, because we will mute you and boot you. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the Riyadh summit that took place yesterday and Trump's response to it. Trump's pathetic worship of Putin is sickening. America now has a new dear leader, and it's the autocratic, undemocratic, fascistic, totalitarian leader of Russia, a barbarian whose war has killed over 46,000 Ukrainian soldiers. All in all, so the number of Ukrainians who have been slaughtered in this needless conflict is way over, possibly way over 100,000 people have died as a result of what Trump's hero has done. And what has Trump's hero done? He's invaded someone else's country, a country that we had a deal with to say, give up your nuclear weapons and we'll make sure no one invades you. We reneged on that deal before Ukraine did anything. Ukraine has done nothing wrong. Ukraine tried to be more democratic. It tried to turn towards the EU. Putin didn't like that. Putin invaded. Plus, Ukraine is full of natural mineral resources, which Russia and America, it seems, would like to get their greasy little fucking claws on. So there was an article on CNN which said that the Riyadh summit ended with a partial victory for Russia. I take issue with that. It wasn't a partial victory for Russia. It was an absolute, emphatic, clear win for the Kremlin, for Putin, for these disgusting, terrible, terrible people that run Russia at the moment. Not all Russians are bad people. I mean, I've got some friends who are Russian, believe it or not. But yeah, the leadership leaves a lot to be desired. And Trump's team gave Russia everything they wanted. Everything. Even before the meeting had even taken place, Trump had already said, NATO, it will not allow, well, NATO with America in it, see how long that lasts, NATO won't allow Ukraine to become a member. And he also said that Russia will be able to keep any of the territorial gains it's made with the blood of tens of thousands of Ukrainians. So he'd already given up everything before they even sat down to the game of poker. And then in the game of poker, they proceeded to play with their cards facing out. Like, they've given Russia exactly what it wanted. Credibility, legitimacy, and a path back into global politics. Ukraine was deliberately left out of the negotiations, proving that Trump sees Kyiv as an obstacle to a deal, not a partner. And Europe was gaslit. We were all gaslit in Europe. 1 minute you got Trump saying, oh, Europe's irrelevant. And next they pretend that we've always been involved. Like, he can't keep his story straight from one day to the next, as most people who are suffering from dementia can't. And what does this mean? This means that Russia gets stronger, Ukraine gets betrayed, and Europe is put in a very difficult position. It's forced to defend itself because America has basically thrown Ukraine to the wolves, just like it threw the people of Gaza to the wolves. And the most disgusting, sickening thing of all this, the stuff that makes me sick to my fucking stomach, is that Trump actually had the gall, the audacity, the stupidity, the cravenness to blame Ukraine for this war that Russia started. Excuse me? Did Ukraine invade Russia? Did it? No. He just parroted Kremlin talking points, word for word. Kremlin propaganda, word for word, coming out of the C-unit mouth of Donald Trump. That's something else, isn't it? Russia invaded Ukraine. Let's get that straight. That's not up for debate. That is a fact. Like, the world is round, a man landed on the fucking moon. And you know what? Sometimes famous people just fucking die, okay? Wasn't a big conspiracy. Famous people die all the time. It just happens, He said that Ukraine should have made a deal. And then he said they should never have started it. How did they start it? It was their territory that was invaded by another country. How did they start it? This is like blaming Poland for the Nazi invasion of Poland in 1939, September 1939. They say, oh, it's all Poland's fault. They shouldn't have allowed themselves to be invaded, eh? Oh, we had a treaty a few years earlier with Poland. We said they'll give up all their big-ass weapons, the BFGs, and basically put them in a vulnerable situation. And we've got to deal with them, saying that if they ever do get invaded, then we'll be there. We'll be there to support them. Now, greater statesman than Donald Trump would have said, oh yeah, we did have a deal. Yeah, you're right. We should go and support that country we had a deal with. But not Trump. Not Trump. No. He couldn't give a shit. He couldn't give a shit. But I have to say, we could have done more. Europe could have done more. So instead of faffing around with bloody Brexit and arguing with our European counterparts, with pretending that, we could go off and trade with other countries around the world and we'll make just as much money as we do trading with our biggest trading partner who's on our doorstep, which has 500 million fairly relatively wealthy people. I know there's pockets of poverty, not least in the UK, but relatively, we are quite a wealthy place, Europe, especially compared with other places around the world. Jason J, thank you so much for the first super chat of the morning. You rock. Thank you. Time for Europe to leave NATO and form a new group. US is giving our intel to Putin. This cannot be allowed to continue. Yep, absolutely. That is exactly what is happening. Putin is being, handed over documents. And Trump knows he can get away with this because he's already got away with it. He already did it once and the US did fuck all about it. Everything that happens now, if Trump is going to victim blame, Ukraine, well, I'm going to victim blame the US. I'm sorry, but we can take some of the blame over here for, in the UK especially, for chummying up to Putin and going, oh no, he's all right. We'll let him interfere in our elections and in our referendums. And there should be some share of blame across Europe as well for not coming down like a ton of bricks on American social media platforms that have clearly been infiltrated by Kremlin bots, by Kremlin propaganda, while not giving the citizens the tools they need, the tools we require to be able to read between the lines. Okay, not all of us are as smart as we are. Okay, you're pretty smart watching this show. Honestly, you are definitely in the top 10% of the country for smartness because you, A, know what's going on to some extent, and B, you want to know what's going on. You're not watching this for the football. You're not watching this for the motor racing. You're not watching this to learn how a fucking tree grows or something. You're learning this because you want to know more about the situation that is going on in the world right now. But a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that drive, the desire to find out more, to know what's actually happening. They're so lazy and feckless that they will just allow someone else to do their thinking for them. Discussed before on this channel. And they need help. They need help. I'm not saying we should put them all in jail or stigmatize them or stop them getting jobs or whatever, but How about we have some critical thinking lessons in schools? How to spot bullshit, like what they have in Finland. You know, they teach kids how to spot bullshit. Estonia does it. It's part of the school curriculum to be able to spot bullshit on the internet. And once you can spot bullshit, you see it everywhere. And it's so blatantly obvious. It's like spotting something that has clearly been made on a picture that's been made on AI. You can spot it a mile away. Maybe if it's in the background of, I've changed the background of something of a picture, you might not notice it. But when it's a completely artificially generated small African boy holding a crocodile that he's made out of bottle caps, you're just like, why has he got 5 fingers? Why has he got 6 fingers? Why is nothing in this? Why does nothing in this picture make sense? And we learn to pick up on it. And once you pick up on it once, you can pick up on it again. But yeah, that's our cross to bear. And going forward, I hope that with the Tories out, we will have more onus on critical thinking and some more regulation on what you're allowed to say if you're a multi-billionaire. Because we talk about this idea of like, we have freedom of speech and everyone's speech is equal. We have the internet. We can say what we like on the internet. Anyone can set up a YouTube channel. But that's not true, is it? I mean, relatively. Look at Phil's video last week about the outsized influence that the Daily Mail has on online content. Like, if you watch a video, generally speaking, about the news, like 9 videos out of 10 or something crazy like that will be a Daily Mail video because they've cornered the market and there's nothing really much of a competition against them. I mean, I'd like to get us left-wingers together and create a foundation that actually supports us and allows us to make better shows and make better content and grow our audiences. But it's like fucking herding cats, man. It's not easy. It's not easy. But yeah, America is going to have to take the lion's share of the blame for everything that happens going forward because they knew exactly what Trump was. They knew he was a rapist. They knew that he had stolen documents from the US government and tried to sell them, or did sell them, to the US's enemies. They know that he mounted an insurrection against the American Congress, against the Capitol, with all of the lawmakers in the Capitol at the time, including the vice president, who was going to be hung if the mob got hold of him. Everything is on them. Everything that happens from now on is on them. And I'm sure we're going to see loads of leopards eating faces videos of people saying, I didn't know he was going to take my farm subsidy. I didn't know he was going to take my Medicaid. I didn't know he was going to destroy my livelihood. Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. And I have no sympathy whatsoever. In the same way, I don't have no sympathy for Brexiteers. Brexiters had 3 years to discover that Brexit was going to be as shit as everyone told them it was going to be. And they still voted Tory anyway in 2019, which is going to break my heart for the rest of my life that we are that stupid as a nation, but also that I suppose that there wasn't the opposition that was required to Brexit forthcoming from our major political parties. Just saying. But yeah, so Trump blaming Ukraine for its own invasion. They should have made a deal. I mean, what the hell is he even talking about? And Vladimir Zelenskyy was furious, clearly. I mean, obviously, he cancelled the trip to Saudi Arabia and he called out the betrayal. And Trump lashed out, demanding that Ukraine hold elections. They're in the middle of a fucking war. And Trump demands that they hold elections. How about you demand that they hold free and fair elections in Russia? Hey, without Putin being able to put the opposition leaders in jail or murder them with Novichok. How about you do that, Trumpy boy? No, not Russia. Okay, so it's one rule for one rule for... Okay, I get you. One rule for your buddies, one rule for your fascist buddies in fucking Russia. Trump is clearly punishing Ukraine for having the temerity to resist Putin. And what message does that send? That standing up against dictators in this new world order that Trump is trying to create gets you thrown under the bus. Nice. Hello to Reagan Elite in the chat. Hello to Alistair as well. We've got B by the Sea. I go on Reform Facebook pages occasionally, mainly to see the Dunning-Kruger effect in full swing. Spoiler, it is. But also to pose as one of them and sow seeds of doubt about Farage and all. Oh, good job. Good job, B by the Sea. I don't have the stomach for that. I can't bear the stupidity in there. It honestly, it's like my kryptonite. Stupidity is my kryptonite. I just don't know how to deal with it. You know, my natural reaction is to insult and block. That's my thing that I've been doing on the internet now for a very, very long time. Just call them a bunch of names and then block them forever and then never have to think about them again. Because getting into actual debate with these people, it's like playing chess with a pigeon. Indeed. Josh says, my wife and kid are smarter than me. Well, my kid for sure. They don't have the patience to pay attention to all the bullshit, says Josh. I'm sure you're just as smart as your wife and kids. I mean, look, there is a certain level of intelligence that makes you want to find out. That's it. You're watching this now. You want to find out. You want to know what's going on. That desire in you marks you out as more intelligent than people who just don't give a shit and don't even want to think about it. However, having said that, I know at the moment there's a lot happening and a lot of people are feeling like, not great about everything that's happening. And I really would give the advice, and I know, don't give advice unless you've asked for it, Graham. Yeah, I know. But there might come a time in the next few weeks where I have to do this, but I might have to take like a week off and just not do any videos because it is a lot. And I think for you as well, watching this, if you need to take some time off from all this and just have a digital detox, just not look at the news for a week, because it is upsetting. It is demoralizing. It is, it solicits a negative emotional response in you. And if you're not doing so well anyway, at the best of times, now's not a really great time. Now is not a good time. But just know that, like, we've built a nice little community here online, and there's others who also, got people watching their videos and cheering along and going, yeah, okay, there is something to be positive about, which is that, we're still here. We're still fighting. We're not going to give up. And we're not, like I said, it's the top of the show. We're not going through all this shit alone. I keep talking about using the Discord more. It's just I keep saying, like, I'm so busy, I just don't have time. But I really should get more onto the Discord server if you're a member of the channel, and you can become a member by pressing the join button. And there's the join button. There's the join button. Join. You can get access to the Discord server. If there's anyone who has joined who's not got onto the Discord yet, let me know. I might have to put in a new URL to allow people access to it. But yeah, I think we might set up something there that is just like anything but politics, so we can just go on there and talk about the latest movies we watched, the end of Cobra Kai, or like music, Taylor Swift, whatever you want to talk about. Ozzy Osbourne's last gig, a politics-free zone where we can have a bit of a conversation, but it doesn't revolve around what's happening right now. Inner Hype says he's on the front page of Time magazine as a photo shoot for a Man of the Year 2024, being asked how you have spoken to Putin. He loves being asked this. It's easy to go off on a tangent. Yeah, the hate on those pages is staggering. Scott talking about the VFuck pages online. Mosaic Owl says, thank you, Scott. To be totally honest, I don't know how I'm going to find another job when literally hundreds of thousands of federal and state government workers will be looking for jobs at once. Mosaic Owl, I'm really sorry. Look, it's again, at least you're not the only one in this boat. There are lots of you in this boat, and it's unsustainable. It's what Trump is doing is completely unsustainable, and hopefully something better will rise from the ashes of whatever Trump leaves behind. I can't see Ukraine, and I'm just jumped to the conclusion here, but I can't see Ukraine just giving up. I just can't. I've been there. I've spoken to people. I've helped out refugees. I've delivered presents. The Ukrainians that I spoke to are in it for the long haul. They know it's not going to be easy. They were well aware of the danger of Trump getting reelected and what that would do to the Ukrainian war effort. But look at it this way. The Americans were in Afghanistan for 20 years, and they left in a hurry, and the Taliban took back over. The Americans were in Vietnam for the best part of 10 years. I mean, nearly 20 years, but I mean, that's to do with when it was still sort of French Indochina. Or part of it, I should say. They didn't win in Vietnam because the people of Vietnam were like, we don't want you here. And it's a lot easier to keep an insurgency going against a foreign invader than it is to occupy a country. In the same way that it's easier to be someone who catches criminals than someone who is a criminal, because a cop only has to get lucky once, whereas a criminal has to stay lucky every day. So yeah. Trump's weaknesses here are on full display. He's not a leader. He's a follower. He's a feckless, empty shell of a man who lets stronger people do his thinking for him. And Putin is his idol. You know, I'm sure he has pictures of Putin up in his romper room, or whatever they call it in the States. He worships power. Trump worships power, and he sees Putin as kind of that. He has the kind of control that Trump would like to himself. But every decision Trump makes is just benefiting Russia, whether it's undermining Europe, undermining NATO, undermining the US and the rule of law, whether it's, you know, giving him Putin diplomatic credibility, whether it's isolating Ukraine, it's forcing Europe to fend for itself. I mean, you know, I'd like to remind you that many European partners came in with America in Afghanistan and in Iraq. I know famously, you know, France told them to fuck off, but like British soldiers died in Iraq. Some of them were killed by what they call friendly fire. So the Americans killed us. That was nice. Thanks for that, guys. And now what does America do? Say, oh no, you're on your own then. You're on your own. We don't care. Imagine if America had been invaded and we turned around and went, nah, can't be arsed, mate. Sorry. Alaska was invaded and annexed by Russia. And America's like, oh, shit. Can we have some help, Europe? And we're like, no. That wouldn't happen. I mean, we might refuse to help America on some daft foreign military adventure. But Europe's been attacked. Our continent has been attacked. And if we allow this to stand, if Trump allows this to stand, then Putin is going to keep pushing on. He wants to take Odessa, and he wants to take Moldova. He wants to take half of Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. He's definitely going to try, and two things that he will do if this peace deal that Trump wants to do happens. There is the corridor that he wants between the incursion that is made into Ukraine along the south coast. Like 90% of the south coast of Ukraine has been taken by Russian forces, right? So you got 10%, which is basically Odessa and around Odessa. Odessa's really close to the border with Moldova. So what he wants is a land bridge to go across Odessa, take Odessa, and then into Moldova, where he'll take Transnistria as part of the Russian Empire. And then you've got this little exclave called Kaliningrad up in the Baltic states. It's sandwiched between Lithuania and Poland, and it's got a narrow bit where it's separated from the rest of Russia. He's going to try and take that corridor back along the border between Lithuania and Poland, and he'll have soldiers, you know, put up fences, minefields, probably knowing Putin because he's a fucking psychopath who likes maiming children. Yeah, that's what they're gonna put in. Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. It's very kind of you. Not having US stuff will be a drawback for Ukraine, but on the other hand, Ukraine will no longer be forced to abide by US restrictions, such as not targeting anyone or anything in Russia. Yeah, true, Katrina. Although, you know, if I can't advise President Zelenskyy or the Ukrainian people. But if this did go down the way they want it to, let's put it this way. There aren't too many Ukrainian oligarchs with mad super yachts. There's quite a few Russian oligarchs around the world with mad super yachts, right? See, super yachts generally are not kept in a military facility. They're generally kept, I don't know, in a marina somewhere. and marinas are insanely easy to get into, especially if you're on a boat. You might have to climb over a fence if you're trying to get into it from land, or climb over a gate, or pop a padlock open. But getting to those marinas by boat, oh, mate, it's a piece of piss. It's an absolute piece of piss. I'm just saying that those super yachts, those Russian super yachts around the world, will be particularly vulnerable if, I don't know, the Ukrainian special forces decided they were going to take out every single Russian super yacht. We know where they are. They're impossible to hide. You can't just, go, oh, I wonder where that super yacht is. Oh, it's there. You can see it. It's a massive fucking thing, vulnerable in the water, which would be very easy to take out. And I don't mean for pizza. Just saying. Russian assets around the world. You can check who owns the stuff in bloody Belgravia, or you can just see for yourself. It's pretty fucking obvious. It's the Rotten Rose. It's the places that have just been left empty, derelict, while the billionaire Russian oligarch who owns it swans around the world on holiday with their drugs and their hookers and whatever oligarchs do. And meanwhile, the property's going to rack and ruin. So, being able to identify those, and there's 200,000 Ukrainians in this country at the moment. Interesting. I hope they've got good insurance. That's all I can say. Anyway, so the US did not force Kyiv into a immediate surrender, right? But make no mistake, that's where this is heading, okay? This is a slow motion betrayal. And Trump's team is openly discussing territorial concessions. That means Ukraine would be expected to hand over land to Russia, the invading party, the butchers of Bucha, in any future deal. Putin is winning, but Russia is making slow but steady gains on the battlefield, and the longer the West dithers, the worse it gets. And Trump's peace deal is really an exit strategy that forces Ukraine to surrender, and it won't bring peace. It's not even a deal, it's a capitulation. A deal is when there's both sides come together and go, okay, there's something that I want, let's thrash out a deal so we both get a little bit of what we want. Ukraine is getting nothing of what it wants in this deal. The Russians are getting everything. The Russians are being given the keys to the kingdom, literally. And yeah, this is Europe's nightmare, We've got to now defend ourselves without America, because they've absolved themselves of any responsibility for what happens in the rest of the world after interfering one way or another for over 100 years now. They've decided this is it. We're not going to do that anymore. But it's been abrupt. This is like Brexit or the fucking partition of India, when we were supposed to have a thing that was going to take 5 years to happen, but in the event it happened in 6 months, and 1 million people died as a result. That's what it's fucking like. Instead of giving time for the handover of power, we're doing the Americans are doing what the Portuguese did in Mozambique, and they're pouring concrete down wells, setting buildings on fire, and pushing cars off cliffs. Because they're like, Sodja, if you don't want us to be ruled, if you don't want to be ruled by Portugal anymore, we're gonna trash everything on the way out. If we'd been given a bit of time to prepare for this, it would have been a lot better. But then, I suppose in a way, watching the slow motion car crash that is America, I think that our politicians over here could have had a bit more, a bit more creativity in the way they thought. They should have put down all the possible things that could happen under a Trump presidency, but loads of people thought that Trump wasn't going to win. They were like, no, it's fine, he won't win. It's like the same people who said, oh, Brexit, they'll never win, and then they won. And then I was like, oh, but it won't happen. It just won't happen. It just won't happen. It just won't happen. And then it did. And I'm like, you assured me over and over again that this wouldn't happen, and it just happened. Why did you not come to those marches? Why did you not support us when we were asking for support to fight against Brexit? You told me it wouldn't happen, and then it fucking happened. Thanks for that. So yeah, a lack of imagination, let's say, on behalf of Europeans and Americans. I mean, they've been caught on the hop by this. The Democrats behaving like a fucking rabbit in headlights at the moment. But there you go. So yeah, the Europe's been caught off guard as a result of this. NATO's being ripped apart. The US has spent decades warning Europe to increase defense spending, and now Trump's making it clear that we're on our own. And the US is no longer a guarantor of European security. Yeah, we're on our own. And one day we're being told that we're irrelevant, and the next we're expected to be doing peacekeeping missions, and then next day we're not invited to a talk about it. I mean, it's just Putin is laughing all the way to the bank. That's all you need to know. He's always wanted a divided NATO, and Trump is handing it to him on a silver platter. Because Trump hates America. Trump hates democracy. Trump hates happiness. Anyone being happy. He's a miserable old fuckhead who you've never seen smile or laugh. He's just so miserable all the time because he hates himself. Before he decided to hate everybody else in the world, he really, really just despised himself. He looks in the mirror and despises what he sees. And and he's got daddy issues and mental health problems up the kazooie. He's just a horrible psychopathic, sociopathic gobshite. And in any other world, in any other reality, in any other time, he would have been put in a sanatorium by his rich, goofy parents for his own protection. Trump dropped his pants for Putin and said, "Take me, Big Daddy." Yes, koala meat. Indeed, you are right. That's exactly what he did. If you want to read an account of what happened, go to Trump, Putin for Trump, the number 4, putinfortrump.com, and press on the translate button to translate it from Russian. You need a strong stomach to get all the way through it. Anyway, so what Russia gets from this is the bigger picture. Like Trump's peace is literally a Putin, a Russian victory. Trump is treating Russia as a diplomatic equal again, ignoring the many, many war crimes that have been committed by the Russians. And don't forget, Putin is a wanted war criminal by the ICC, and it's one of the reasons why America is sanctioning the ICC, because they don't want their mate Putin to ever face justice for any of the many, many crimes he's committed. This fucker killed a British woman, Dawn Sturgis. He fucking killed her on British soil with fucking agents come over from Russia to kill the Skripals, but didn't manage that. They fucked it up and they managed to kill a British woman instead. And what did we do about it? Boris Johnson put the son of a KGB agent in the House of Lords, an unelected legislator for life. For life. That was the punishment doled out by our fucking metropolitan elite, the actual metropolitan elite, the private school mafia that run everything. If Russia is rehabilitated, sanctions will weaken, which is already happening, and that will allow the Russian economy to recover, and Putin gets even stronger. And the longer this drags out, the more land Russia takes and the weaker Ukraine becomes. And because of the divided West, the US and Europe are no longer on the same page, which is playing right into Putin's hands. It's divide and conquer, divide and rule. The mantra of the British Empire has now come full circle to bite us on the arse. And this is the end game, Trump wants Putin's America. That's what he wants. He doesn't want run America. He wants to turn America into Russia. He wants totalitarian control. That's why he wants access to everyone's social security numbers. That's why he wants access to everyone's Medicare records. That's why he wants access to all the employee data at the FBI, the CIA, the Pentagon, the NSA. He wants all that information so he can run America as a totalitarian state in which you are not allowed to do anything unless the government says, the dictator of the country, says that you may do that thing. They'll dictate who you marry, who you can have sex with, when, the fact that you can't have bodily autonomy, so you can't have an abortion. They will micromanage every aspect of people's lives. There's enough CCTV cameras. There's enough internet coverage. Don't forget, every Tesla car that is driving on the road in any country is a fucking telltale tit for Elon Musk. It's collecting data all over the shop. These Teslas have a camera in front of them, and they can use facial detection on those cameras to find out what's happening in Teslas all over the world. You know, like in 1984, when they realised there's a camera in the room, it's behind the picture. You know, that's where we are now. We got the cameras are everywhere. They're Teslas. And it's one of the reasons why we need to ban Teslas in this country. We need to ban Twitter in this country. We need to ban anything that's got anything to do with Musk. We need to jam the Starlink satellite signals. We need to stop anything that has Musk's fingerprints on it. We need to stop it happening in this country, because we can't do anything for America. We can sit and laugh and point. We can eat popcorn. It won't be very helpful. But the reality is we can't do much. I mean, I've spoken before about the fact that we can quiet quit American companies and take, if we've got a choice between buying an American brand or American service or American going to an American shop or restaurant, bar, whatever, we say no. We just go somewhere else. We go somewhere that isn't owned by Americans, because then that'll upset the Americans who are losing money, because not as many of us Europeans are spending money on American stuff. And that puts pressure on Trump. Okay, so we can do that. But I mean, that's kind of like passive resistance. It's not active resistance. There's not much we can do in terms of active resistance, especially looking at the recent polls, which show that the Trump voters who voted for him do not feel betrayed. They fucking love it. As I keep mentioning, I mean, it's a cult. Like Brexit, it's a cult. And it takes a long time to deprogram someone from a cult, because they make it their one and only in their life. It's a misfiring, as I said before, it's a misfiring of the emotion of love. Chemical reaction in your brain that makes you fall in love with someone and want to procreate misfires sometimes, and that's why people join cults and get obsessed with celebrities and politicians and dictators and join cults. And get addicted to shit. America is addicted to fentanyl and Trump. So, there's not much we can do. Not much we can do except sort of go, oh my God, this is terrible. But we need to be thinking what we can do for ourselves. As I keep saying, we need to put the mask on ourselves before we put the mask on our children. We need to make sure that we're capable of maintaining a resistance against Musk and Trump, and it's something that we can do. Please write to your MP. I wrote to my MP yesterday about the fact that Musk has access to my data. Like, I didn't give permission for that. I want him sanctioned. I want his companies banned in this country. I tried to make a petition a few months ago for Twitter to be banned in this country, and I got a reply from the government saying no, they're not allowed to. You're not allowed to put a petition in to ban a company, which I just find mad. Is that so we can't ban Thames Water, who've racked up debts of billions because they've, given dividends to shareholders and borrowed loads of money, and oh God, and now they're going to have to pay it back at a ridiculous interest rate. We'll talk about that in a moment. Late but happy to be real for the rest of your life, Link Sonics. No, joking. I can't talk. I can talk, but I can't talk that much. This isn't just about Ukraine. This is about Trump's vision for the US. He doesn't believe in democracy or free press or free elections. In his mind, America should be ruled the way that Putin rules over Russia and has ruled over Russia for the last 25 years, with fear, loyalty, and absolute obedience. That's what he demands at all levels. And he admires Putin's control, his ability to silence opposition by killing them, and his ability to rule without accountability. That's what Trump wants. He wants to turn America into a religious version of Russia. So you imagine like a Saudi Arabian version of Russia. So a theocratic Russia. So taking all the worst elements of Saudi, taking all the worst elements of Russia at the moment and putting them together and making a whole shit sandwich that he's going to try and force down the throats of 330 million Americans. Whether they swallow it, I don't know. Remains to be seen. But Ukraine is now fighting for survival with one hand tied behind its back. Europe is waking up to the reality that we can no longer rely on the US, and maybe there's a bit more imagination going on about like what we face, the horrors that we face with Trump, etc. Putin is winning the long game, absolutely, because Trump is handing him everything he desires in America. If Trump gets his way, Putin will have more say over the future of the United States of America than the people, the citizens of the United States of America. Let that sink in. Anyway, let's talk about it. Modi of India, I think there's a small chance that Xi won't play ball beyond snaffling Taiwan. All smoke and mirrors, blame someone else while doing exactly what you're blaming them for, says Chris C. Yeah, absolutely. It's gaslighting, isn't it? And says religion isn't about God or God's or lack thereof. It's about earthly power. Always has, always will be. I think there are people who genuinely believe. I'm not going to get derailed by a whole topic of religion, but I think that the people who genuinely believe are in the vanishing minority. I think that most people who pretend to be religious aren't really religious. They don't really believe it. And the reason why I say that is because they've never read the book. They've never read the Bible. They base their entire life, their entire morality, their thoughts about so many things in life, and like whether they think that homosexuality is acceptable, or being transgender, or having an abortion, or whatever. They base their morality on a book they've never bothered reading, and it speaks to the laziness of a lot of people who, and we talk about this before, but I shouldn't really talk about people being stupid. I should talk about them being lazy, because if you're stupid, there's nothing you can do about it, But if you're lazy, people can do something about being lazy. They can stop just mindlessly consuming the bullshit that they are fed by billionaires who don't have their best interests at heart. That's what they can do. That's exactly what they can do. Chris C, I'm not sure. It's creepy and disturbing, especially when they go on about paedophilia being a cancer that needs cutting out. Why do you think the Ukraine or the EU were not invited to the peace talks? Because they might find out about Trump's little Russian PP tape, says Ozzy. All things being equal, I don't think that Russia has a PP tape. I mean, even if they do, I don't think Trump would care if it came out. To be honest, he'd just say, "Oh, it's a deep fake news. It's not real," and his acolytes would believe him. I think this is genuinely that he absolutely hero worships Putin, and he wants what Putin has for himself in America, and he'll sell out all of his allies, all of the American people, in order to achieve that. All of his fellow Republicans, in order to achieve that. The Republican Party wants the party that prided itself on being like more American than American. The party that prided itself on its place on the international stage, retreating away, craven and cowardly under Trump's leadership, Trump's decrees, King Trump. They're not even offering any criticism. And what are we getting from the Democrats at the moment? You've got AOC and Bernie Sanders, who's not even a Democrat, and they've made some nice videos, which is great. I mean, I'm not knocking them. I'm saying that that's all that's happened. That's really, really quite demoralizing that there isn't more of a fight back against what Trump is doing. And there needs to be. There really, really needs to be. But I think people need direction. I think people need leadership. And the leadership is sadly lacking at the moment. I think leadership's lacking around the world. Trump, for all his ills, he's a good leader in that he gets people to do things. He gives people a clear vision. I know it sounds bullshit to us on our side of the fence, but he gives them a clear enemy, a clear objective. We got to end woke. We've got to end people being nice to each other, being polite, being civil. We just need a dog-eat-dog society in which everyone's trying to fuck over everybody else all the fucking time. That's the world that he wants to build. That's the world that Putin has built in Russia, and they want to spread that cancer all over the world. That idea that if someone has something more than they're doing, if you feel they're doing better than you, it's your moral duty to take them down a peg or two. That attitude, which is fundamentally un-American. But then again, a lot of things that Trump does is fundamentally American. But at least he can get people behind him. The Democrats can't stop bickering amongst themselves. I mean, I think Keir Starmer's a fairly good leader in this country, but he doesn't have the riz. And when Labour do get a win, like the fact that they met their waiting list target for the NHS like half a year fucking earlier than they were planning to, why weren't they crowing that from the rooftops? Because I think Keir Starmer, he's a manager. He's just, he's a manager. He goes into a situation. He has his agenda. He has his ideas. He has his, what he wants to do, and he comes to some kind of, plan, which is great. You know, he's really, really good at that. But when it comes to actual leadership and getting people to, I don't know, inspiring people. But then again, I'm going to say that he's managed to keep the Labour Party together. I mean, considering some of the things that Labour have had to do or claim they've had to do, the fact that there hasn't been more dissension in the ranks is quite impressive, actually. Even amongst, very, very left-wing Labour MPs have gone along with it. Whereas, left-wing pundits are going, oh my God, how dare you? How very dare you? But yeah, I don't think there's a tape. I think he would do anything for money and validation. Yeah, I agree. I think saying there's a tape is a bit... I mean, why would he care? Why would he care? Anyway, so we're going to quickly nip over to the papers now, if you don't mind. Hello, up here. We've got the Daily Express here. Iran charges British bike couple with spying. This is they were on a bike trip through Iran, and now they've been arrested. Something that I was a bit worried about when I was in Iran, but maybe they didn't have all the papers. But things have changed now in Iran. It's not... I mean, when I went, it was quite remarkable that I was allowed in without a tour group, a tour party. I was just allowed in on my own. I don't know if people are allowed to do that anymore. I don't think so, which is really sad because Iran is a beautiful country with beautiful people in it, but the leadership is scum. But, the leadership are the kind of people that Trump wants to be. He wants to be that autocratic, theocratic, dictatorial fascist leader who gets to totalitarian control over absolutely every facet of human life in his country. We got 60% of workers change into their PJs the second they walk through the door. What? That okay. And a terrifying picture that's been AI'd. This is about soldier who Jaisley Beck, I think her name is, who took her own life after being bullied in the army. And there's an inquiry going on into that. The army chief appalled at the treatment of female soldiers. 3 million universal credit claimants not hunting for a job in the Times. Murdoch rag. Maybe Murdoch should get a proper job. And then we've got typhoons may help to keep peace in Ukraine. I was thinking that typhoons, what? You mean the weather events? Oh, no, okay. You mean British fighter jets could avert need for troops. Yeah, they could actually get supremacy of the sky over there. We've got an interview with one of the mothers of one of the children who were killed in the tragic Southport stabbings over last summer. And we were so happy we had everything. Absolutely tragic. We got £10,000 transplants gave me brand new head of hair. Even my barber calls a miracle. So it's an advert for some, I don't know, surgery stuff going on the Daily Mail. But they must have paid a lot of money for that. And then after Kemi and Starmer attacked immigration decision that let Gaza family remain in Britain, Tory anger at judge who said criticising our ruling was unacceptable. Kemi Badenoch hit back at England's top judge last night as a row broke out over the right to criticise the judiciary. Kemi Badenoch not showering herself in glory again. That makes a change. Normally she's busy not showering herself in glory. And then we've got US and Russia seek economic opportunities after Ukraine war. Statements after Riyadh talk raise alarm in Kyiv and the rest of Europe. Which is what we're talking about. Economic opportunities mean they're going to just steal all the natural resources, the rare earth materials that Ukraine has. Obesity blamed as rising life expectancy stalls. And we've got Ozempic now, it's fine. And then we've got lawyers hit out at critics of UK Attorney General. That was the same story that's on the front cover of the Mail. We've got J.D. Vance's hard truths have shamed Europe from Alison Peterson, who's a fucking arsehole. Here's his hard truth, Alison. Get a proper fucking job. You know, you clanging fucking gobshite. Hard truths. Hard truths. What, that we're too woke? That's the problem. Not Russia invading our continent. That's not the problem. Russia killing over 60,000 people in Ukraine. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is someone was arrested for praying at the side of the road, just innocently praying in their own home. Yeah. All right, mate. Yeah. Zelenskyy could fall as price of peace. US and Russia make provisional agreement for ceasefire, elections, and peace treaty. Just absolutely what the fuck? No. Ukraine is a sovereign nation, and Zelenskyy should tell them all to get to fuck. PM in row with most senior judge over migrants, which is the story on the front cover of the Mail as well. Business secretary claimed to be solicitor but never qualified. This is probably like something that was put on a LinkedIn profile or something mad. But yeah, there's a Tory graph, piece of shit newspaper that it is, written by shit-headed, privately educated, generally gobshites. UK on collision course with Russia over peacekeeping troops in Ukraine. Russia's foreign minister warned the Kremlin would not accept Western troops policing a peace deal in Ukraine. What the fuck are you going to do about it, Russia? What are you going to do, Russia? What are you going to do? We should take the assets that have been frozen, the Russian assets that have been frozen, and just give all that money to Ukraine to defend itself and help them. I'll put boots on the ground. I'm not scared of Russia. What we're supposed to be craving to Russia? We're supposed to be like, oh no, Russia, please don't hurt us. Russia's got fuck all. Russia reckons it's got all these nuclear bombs. It fucking doesn't. It's fucking lying. If it had nuclear bombs, it would have had some nuclear bomb tests in the last 25 years. It hasn't. It hasn't had a single fucking test, I don't think, since the fall of the fucking Berlin Wall. So good luck with the nuclear arsenal, keeping it afloat. US and Russia hailed detente as path to rapid ending of Ukraine conflict. Shite. And then we've got Putin. I won't allow Starmer's plan for troops in Ukraine. Oh, will you not? You won't allow Starmer, the sovereign leader, the leader of another sovereign country, to deploy British troops in someone else's country at their behest. You're not going to allow it. It's someone else's country, knobhead. It's not your country. If we were detaching them to Russia, you might have a little bit of an argument to make, but you really fucking don't. Historic handshake between the United States and Russia sets up talks over Europe's eastern border and even trade deals, but without NATO peacekeeping forces, while Zelenskyy insists Crimea is ours, quite rightly, because it is. It's part of Ukraine. That was the deal. That was the deal that was struck, that the Russians completely welched on. Reneged on. Debt-ridden Thames Water's £3 billion bailout. This is eye-watering. So this bailout that they're getting is at eye-watering levels of interest, and it's just it's off the fucking charts. Like, just the amount of corruption in our water companies that it's just been allowed to happen. It's just been allowed to happen. Injunction against the loan, send in the administrators. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? All those fucking shareholders, all the people who lent money, all those banks, institutions, whatever, that lent money to Thames Water can fuck off. Just say, that's it. Sorry. You know what? Businesses collapse. And when businesses collapse, it's not up to us as the taxpayer to bail out that business or bail out the people who invested in that business hoping to make a quick, dirty buck. That's not our responsibility. It's not our fault. It's not our responsibility. Andrew Ray says no comment. Okay. You made a comment saying no comment. Do you see what you did there, Andrew? Have a think about what you did. Captain says Johnson rubbed out $250,000 with Riz. He absolutely did. Complete gobshite. I know, going back to what we were talking about leadership, I mean, I do worry about the rise of refuck in this country, and I do worry about how well they're going to do in the 2029 elections, unchecked, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, Trump will be out of office by the time we have another election in this country. Well, he should be out of office by the terms of the Constitution, but you know what Trump thinks about the Constitution. He uses it for toilet paper. He wipes his arse. He wipes his dirty, filthy, shitty arse on the Constitution. And the American people cheer. Yay, Trump. Yay. Nick and Diff says there may or may not be a damaging video of Trump, but I think it's an idolation of dictators that it's more telling in his actions. Utterly obsessed with money and power. That's it. Yep. Nick and Dick. And it's Occam's razor, isn't it? I mean, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. He's just not a very good person. He's not a very nice person. He's not a decent person. Anne Phillips, I spoke there as someone who identifies as a Christian. It's not the belief system that causes the problem; it's the power structure around it. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. Plus, I just want to mention that the Pope's not doing well, is he? The Pope's on his. It looks like he's on his way out. Which is sad. I don't. Generally speaking, I don't mean harm on anyone except people who have genuinely gone out of their way to kill people. By which I would include Trump, I would include Putin, I would include Boris Johnson in that. I'd include Matt Hancock, and I would include Nigel Farage. Those people, get nothing but my eye. Benjamin Netanyahu, and others who just warmongers. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't want. I would rather live in a world where they didn't. But it's not the reality. But someone like the Pope, it's there's a lot of mixed feelings about the Catholic Church. I understand and appreciate that, and but it's sad. It's sad when someone dies. It's sad when someone is that ill. He's got pneumonia in both lungs at the moment. So, barring a miracle, hey, why doesn't he pray for a miracle? Yeah. Anyway, Channel Island dwelling tax dodger telegraph. Yeah, absolutely. JD Vance was just afraid his Russian platform will fail EU standards. His Rumble platform. Sorry, I said Russian. You see what happened there? My Freudian tit. I mean my Freudian clit. I mean my Freudian shit. I mean my Freudian slip. Oh my God. A Freudian slip is when you say one thing and you mean my mother. And another. MH Kara, Trump does not understand the leader of the free world does not mean the leader of the whole world. What a dimwit. Yeah, indeed. Mosaic Owl says, Graham, there's a lot of speculation that Trump is not physically agile enough to wipe his own ass. Yeah, that's true. Probably gets JD Vance to do it for him. Fraz66, Biden should have dealt with the threat of Trump when he had the chance, and Starmer should deal with the reform while he still has. Yep, Fraz66, I absolutely agree with you. I heard the most dispiriting thing from a Labour politician the other week when they said, no, we're not going to stoop down to their level. We're going to win on the arguments. We're going to win on the arguments. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. What, like doing something about climate change has won on the arguments? Because it fucking hasn't. There's still about 20% of the people in this country who fucking smoke. Did the anti-smoking campaign win on its arguments? No, it fucking didn't. Because nicotine is a hell of a drug. It's more addictive than heroin. And those tobacco barons need to make a fuckload of money, growing crops that we literally burn into our faces for some reason because we're addicted to it and it does absolutely nothing for us. No health benefits whatsoever. It actually just gives you cancer and heart disease and also puts radioactive material into your lungs. So one of the most radioactive places on Earth is a dead smoker's lungs. It's more radioactive than part of fucking Pripyat in Chernobyl. Pete's music, Nick and Diff. Mick Diff, crochet is truly amazing, as mysterious as witchcraft to me. Tried it, but beyond my abilities by far. I saw a really good video yesterday on TikTok, and they were talking, since my ADHD diagnosis, I've obviously been inundated with ADHD talk, so I see a lot of stuff about mental health on there. Neurology, neurology, is that the right word? I don't know. What, brain shit. I see a lot of brain shit. And there was someone talking about how they'd wired people up to the scanners that they have for the brain, and they'd found that people, when they are anxious, that's like one part of their brain firing off, and when they're being creative, when they're doing some creative, it's a completely different part of the brain. And just like you can't look two places at once, you can't be anxious and creative at the same time. It's one or the other. So if you are feeling anxious, if you suffer from anxiety, if you're feeling everything's getting a bit overwhelming, do it. Do something creative. Paint, draw a picture, write, do some crochet, do something creative, do a puzzle, do a jigsaw puzzle or something like that, because you can't be anxious while you're doing that crossword, the cryptic crossword or whatever it is. While you're being creative, while you're trying to use that part of your brain, you can't be anxious at the same time for whatever reason. It's just a weird bit of your brain to make up. So yeah, you need to get out the weapons of mass distraction, which are like croquet. So yeah, really recommend it. Really recommend it. Putin says no to British troops on the ground, but uses North Korean troops himself. What's he smoking? Yeah, Aussie, very, very good point. Fester will be 65 in 2029. He smokes and drinks. How much longer will he live? Yeah, well, that's the problem with smoking and drinking. It's a bit of Russian roulette, isn't it? I mean, there's always going to be at least one empty chamber. In the gun, Putin objected to OneWeb satellites being over Russia, but they never objected to Starlink. How interesting. Yes, made a whole song about authoritarianism. It was very cathartic. Knitting and crocheting, because it looks like crocheting, but it's not. Crotcheting is writing music, I guess. Writing lots of crotchets is amazing. If our lass makes a mistake, she just pulls it out and starts again. No, that's not a euphemism, says Billy. Yes, knitting, crochet, art is very therapeutic. Yeah, and apparently it's because of your brain's chemistry. It's because of the way our brains work. You can't be doing something creative or something that you have to concentrate on and be anxious. So if you are suffering at the moment, I don't know, a lot of us are, from these dark thoughts that are being conjured up by the lunatics being in charge at the moment. Please channel yourself into doing something creative. And you know what? I probably found this with this channel, like just doing the stuff, like making the thumbnails and deciding to talk about and doing all that. I mean, although what I'm talking about is quite fucking hell, Jesus Christ, the process of going through it all is probably quite therapeutic in a way, because I'm going to imbibe this shit anyway, because I'm interested in what's happening in the world. And but this is a better way for me to deal with it, I think. It's to go through it and to talk it through with you. So thank you everyone watching this and commenting and being there for each other and being there for me, because this really, really helps. We're going through this together. That's the one thing I'll say. The one positive that we can take at the moment is we are going through this together, and you're not going mad. The situation is very serious at the moment, but while we still have, while we still have our spirits, while we still have a song in our heart, they can't beat us. They can never beat us. They can't trample down the human spirit forever. Because like the line from Sit Down by James, if I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. If you grew up in North Korea, if you grew up in Saudi Arabia, if you grew up in the Democratic Republic of Congo, you might not really know what freedom tastes like or looks like or smells like. You do. And then to have that taken away from you at the age of 16, 26, 36, 46, you know the difference. You've seen the world before, and you're in a new world, and you will say, hang on, this isn't as good as it was. I want to go back to the world that we had. And we've seen it. We know it, and we're not going to live with being poor, because we know that we don't have to. We know that there's no reason for it, apart from the ego of three little-minded men. Anyway, keep ourselves busy, says Oliver. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, my friend. That's a good idea. My granddad used to make crochet blankets. He's really inspired me. Oh, that's really lovely, Nick and Diff. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your wonderful messages. Thanks for the super chats. And gives a like on the way out. Where's my like button? There's me like. Oh no, that's my join button. I pressed the wrong button. Hang on. 1 second. Give a like on the way out. And I'll be back later today. We're not doing Prime Minister's questions because it's half term, but I'll try and put out some stuff this afternoon. And hopefully I will see you then. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.